Every now and then you run across those kind of bargain bin titles that have, I don't know, 5, 6, 12 movies in them. And for the most part, they're just garbage. They're trash movies, the lowest of the low, things that wouldn't sell by themselves. And, I bought my fair share of those, and at this point, I just don't buy them anymore. But I did run across this the other day. It looks terrible. Scary Clown. Does anybody really want to see a Scary Clown movie that's not it? I mean, really? But there was two things that made me pick this up. One, it was a Blumhouse production. Now, they do a decent job at making some passable, low-budget horror movies. So, a few points there. And the other was one of these featured an old flame of mine, Miss Jessica Alba, who for the most part doesn't really do that much anymore. But for a while there, she was doing some low-budget horror, and I guess I just must have missed this one. Now, I actually looked up just getting this movie with Jessica Alba by itself, so I wouldn't have to be subjected to these other three, but it's not on Blu-ray, it's only on DVD, and it actually costs more to buy just this one by itself than to be at $5 for the 4-pack. So, I'm in it to win it now. Let's see how this Blumhouse Productions 4-movie horror collection pans out. Back in a jiff. Alright, and we are back. Can you tell it's been a little while since I recorded that intro? Sometimes it's just hard to get in the mood to watch movies that you feel like are not going to be good. But I gotta say, for the most part, this set surpassed my expectation. My expectation being that it would be complete and utter trash. So I'm going to start up here in the upper left-hand corner, and we're just going to go through them. The first thing I want to do is read you the synopsis of The Veil. It's only one sentence. The lone survivor of a religious cult mass suicide, Jessica Alba, returns to the scene of the tragedy with the film crew and unveils a scene more disturbing than anyone had ever imagined. Already it's incorrect. Jessica Alba was not the sole survivor. In fact, the lone survivor is actually Lily Rabe, which I'm not sure if I'm saying her last name right. And she's one of those actresses that you'll recognize from being in other movies, even though maybe you can't quite place where you've seen her before. Additionally, the cult leader in this movie is played by Thomas Jane, who you may remember from the 2003 Punisher movie, who I've always kind of liked as an actor ever since that movie. He is doing his best Elvis as a cult leader impersonation here, and he's just chewing up the scenery. He's kind of fun to watch. Jessica Alba, even though she's perfect, kind of playing the exact same character she's played in a lot of other movies. She's got about two modes. She's got drama action mode, or she has a more smiley comedy mode. That's about it for Jessica. Anyway, the movie was passable. It had some interesting ideas to it, but I couldn't help but think the entire time that I wish I was watching Bad Dreams. Much better kind of psychedelic horror cult movie. Probably give the Jessica Alba outing a 3 out of 5. Next movie on the list was Mercy. Based on a short story written by Stephen King, two brothers discover chilling secrets about their grandmother's dark supernatural power when they accompany their single mother on a terrifying visit. Also, an incorrect synopsis because they're not just visiting, they actually move back to take care of their grandmother because she's getting kicked out of the nursing home. This movie was actually the best one of the set, and I wonder how much of that is due in part to it being written by Stephen King. There are a couple questionable special effects in this movie. The lead is Carl from The Walking Dead. He does cry a few times. It's kind of weird watching him cry ever since he's been a badass since he killed his mom in The Walking Dead. It's kind of how I see that guy now. He's a badass kid. But I dug the mythology, the witchcraft, the ancient secrets on this one. Solid movie. Not something I would seek out on its own, but as part of this pack, I quite enjoyed it. 3.5 out of 5. Next one up, Visions. When a mother-to-be, Eliza Fisher, has visions of a hooded figure at her vineyard home, she uncovers the haunting history of the place and a conspiracy that puts her and her baby at risk. Additionally, that description's not quite right. I don't want to spoil the movie, even though you kind of see most of the twists and turns in this movie coming. It's weird seeing Fisher in the kind of horror role. I've seen her in so many comedies that every time she gets knocked down or has a fall in this movie, you're just thinking of one of her comedies, and it's not scary. This was probably the weakest of the films in the set, but it was still passable, maybe more geared towards women. I enjoyed the twist at the end. It almost redeems itself. And that will get about 3 out of 5 out of me. And last one on the list, Mockingbird. The shortest description of any of them on the list. 3 unsuspecting individuals receive an unmarked video camera with a horrifying ultimatum. Continue filming or die. This movie starts out pretty rough. First 5 or so minutes of this movie, you're like, oh, this is gonna be a low-budget, crappy student film. But it actually turns into a period movie set in the 90s, which I really love period horror movies for whatever reason. No matter what period they are, I would prefer the 80s, but I'll take the 90s too. The movie is set up where a couple and a girl both receive a camera, they have to film. There's people outside their houses. It's very Strangers, or maybe the first Purge movie. And then there's a third character who is the clown on the cover, who's a guy who thinks he won a contest and he thinks he's got to jump through all these hoops in order to get his prize, but he's being set up as the patsy. I'm not giving anything away there because you pretty much can tell the entire time that's exactly what's happening. This movie I kind of liked. I had the lowest expectations for this one out of all the movies because it looked like a killer clown movie. You know, I was thinking about that terrible Full Moon killer clown series they got, and I thought it was just going to be garbage. But it was okay. Struck me as pretty average with a couple of good ideas. Another 3 out of 5 movie. So overall, most of these movies 3 out of 5. One of them a little bit better, 3.5 out of 5. But I gotta say, watching these together, I was thinking to myself, if these had all been short stories and this had been one anthology, I think I would have really liked this. You know, there was some great and surprising star power throughout this set. I loved the ideas, but on their own, as movies, they just kind of sort of fall average. Would I recommend this? You know, in the bargain bin for $5, sure. You're going to get $5 worth of entertainment out of this. At a more Amazon price, I probably wouldn't get this. But without doing any research, I'm fairly certain this is kind of the streaming fodder too. Probably going to be able to find most of these things streaming for free somewhere with ads. I never heard about them, and feel like I'm in the horror scene. You know what, I guess that about wraps it up. And as always, thanks for tuning in and have a great day.
This is without a doubt the coolest moment of my life. Hey Mom, I need your keys.